Hi, today I'm going to be making a stir fry. Stir fry is a really great recipe template because it gives you a lot of options in terms of the type of protein you like, type of veggies you like, and then you can flavor it up to your liking. So today I'm going to be making a tofu veggie stir fry and a homemade stir fry sauce, and I'll give you some modifications as we go. So to start off, you need about a pound of protein. So again, I'm going to use tofu today, but you could use chicken breast, chicken thighs, pork, lean beef, shrimp, chickpeas, tempeh. There's really a variety of options out there. So pick the one that you enjoy the most. All right, so to get into my tofu, I usually take a paring knife here and I cut around 3 of the sides. The tofu is in a block and it's in water here if you've never used tofu before. And then I drain out the liquid over the sink. So just be careful as you poke into it, and definitely put it over the sink because some of the liquid starts coming out right when you slice into that. Okay. And then for tofu, because it's been sitting in water, it has some moisture in it, and it can be helpful to squeeze it dry in a paper towel. So wrap it up in a clean paper towel and just give it a squeeze. Sometimes people wrap it in a dish towel and put something heavy on top to really get a lot of that fluid out. I always look for the extra firm, so it's already pretty firm anyway. Okay. And I'm not using quite a pound here just because I don't quite need that much, but you can use the amount that works for you, and then I'll have the exact amounts in the comments section. So I'm just going to cube up my tofu. And again, if you're using, let's say if you're using chicken breast, you could do strips, you could do cubes, whatever size you like. Okay, so let's get our pan turned on here. Stir fry pan, you want something that is big enough to be able to move stuff around. Stir fry in general is going to be cooked on high heat, and you want to keep it moving. So you need space so things aren't flying over the edges. This is not my favorite stir fry pan that I have in my household, but it's the only type that works with this burner. So bear with me, things might stick a little bit, but we'll make it work. So into your pan, tablespoon of olive oil or canola oil, avocado oil, whatever type works in your, or whatever type you have in your household that you enjoy. A heart-healthy oil is a nice option. So get that oil in your pan and bring the pan up to heat, medium heat to start. We're going to cook our protein, then we'll take it out, and then we'll cook all our veggies, and then we'll put the protein back in. So for my veggies today, I'm going to use fresh vegetables. You could use fresh, or you could buy a bag of frozen. They sell bags of frozen stir-fry veggies right at the store, and that can be a really nice, quick option. I tend to like to make a stir-fry when I have veggies that need to kind of be cleaned out. And so I sliced up half an onion, half a bell pepper, some cabbage, and then I had like a half a head of cauliflower left in there, so I chopped that up as well. And so that'll be my stir-fry veggies. The recipe says about 4 cups. If you're around there, that's perfectly fine. And again, 1 bag of stir-fry veggies from the store, or 2 bags, depending on how much you're making, will work as well. And you can just throw them in the pan from frozen. And then I also have some minced up fresh ginger and minced clove of garlic here. These are optional. If you have them on hand and you like to use fresh, go for it. If you have the dried versions, if you have powdered garlic or ginger, you can use those as well, or you can leave them out and just use the regular sauce. So we're kind of building added flavor with these added options, but you can keep it basic and do what works for you. All right, so my oil is heating up here. And just get your protein in a single layer. If your pan is really hot, it might splatter a little bit, so be careful. Maybe don't put your hands quite as close as I'm getting mine here. But yeah, just make sure all the pieces are in there and kind of separated from each other if you can. And we'll just let that sit for a while to start the cooking process. Okay, and so for your sauce, the basic sauce I'm going to make today is soy sauce. So 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And I like to buy the low sodium. It still has a good amount of salt in it, but it's less than the regular. And most people benefit from watching their sodium intake. So if you can find that one, I think it tastes fairly similar. So 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I like to make this in a jar because it's easy to shake and then it's ready to pour in. But if you don't have a jar with a lid, you can just do it in a bowl and whisk it up. Okay, and then a tablespoon of rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, you could use regular white vinegar, but just use half the amount. You don't need quite as much because it's more acidic. And you can also use lime juice. So a tablespoon of lime juice would work really well in here, and it kind of adds a nice lime flavor. And then a tablespoon of maple syrup or honey or regular sugar. We just need a sweetener to balance out these flavors. And then a tablespoon of cornstarch. And that's going to help to thicken the sauce up a little bit. All right, you could stop right here and that could be your sauce, or you can add a couple extra flavoring options and I'll let you know what those are. I am going to add another 1/4 cup of water or broth, and that's just going to give you a little bit more volume. Go with warm water if you can, especially if you're using honey. It'll help it soften up in there. All right, so the added ingredients here. So again, basic soy sauce, rice vinegar or lime juice, maple syrup, cornstarch, and water. That could be your basic stir fry sauce. Some additions are a teaspoon of sesame oil, adds a nice little sesame flavor in here. Oh, I'm running low, so I guess I'm getting about a half a teaspoon. Put that on the grocery list. And then if you like a little spice, you could put some crushed red pepper. You could put a little bit of sriracha, maybe a teaspoon. That will give you some spice in there. And then hoisin sauce was mentioned when I look at different stir fry sauces. Hoisin has a sweeter flavor to it and kind of a thicker. And so a tablespoon or two of that in your sauce might give you a little added flavor as well. So you might start with the basic and then see how you like it and adjust from there. All right. So my tofu, or if you have chicken in the pan or another meat, is about ready to start kind of flipping it or moving it around. It may stick a little bit. That's okay. Be careful for oil splashes. Now, tofu is already, you can eat it raw, so you don't need to worry as much about temperature as if you were cooking a meat. If you're cooking chicken or another meat, you want to make sure it's fully cooked through. You can either temp it with a thermometer, or if it's in small enough pieces, usually you can tell there's no pink left. Okay. Now you could put your garlic and ginger in with your sauce. That's an option. Or when your veggies are cooking, kind of toward the end of cooking, you could put them in there too. We do want them kind of like heat up in there and bring out some of those aromatics and that flavor. So I would say about 5 to 7 minutes on your protein. We want them to get a little brown and crispy on the outside, if you can. For the purpose of today, I'm just going to move things along and grab a bowl to put my tofu in. So you can take your protein out once it's fully cooked. We could leave this in here and add the veggies. I just find it helps to avoid overcooking if we can kind of cook the protein ahead of time and take it out. And there should still be enough oil in your pan to get your veggies in. If you feel like it's dried out or it's getting a little too crispy, feel free to add, another tablespoon of oil. Let's get all these veggies in here. And in general, high heat is going to be best for a stir fry and to keep your veggies moving. If you think about cooking in a wok, right, a traditional kind of Chinese stir fry, things are flying. You're going to see high heat and they keep those veggies moving. Again, it's a little hard for me to control high heat on this burner, but I'm going to do the best that I can. Your veggies will probably take about 10 minutes. It depends what types of vegetables you're using. We want things to be kind of tender crisp. So I would just, toss them around for 10 minutes and then taste things and see if they're cooked enough to your liking. If you have something like carrots in here, those are going to take a little bit longer because they're a bit more firm. So toss it around, let it sit for a little while, give it another toss every couple of minutes. Okay. Great things about stir fry. I really enjoy making a stir fry and having leftovers made from it. So I will use, I'll show you the dishes, these types of bowls with lids on them, and you can just make yourself meals to go. So again, this will make about 3 to 4 servings. I'm going to have one for lunch today, and then I'll get 2 to 3 stir fries. I'll put some rice in here and then add the stir fry on top. They can stay in the fridge for about 4 days. They can stay in the freezer for 3 to 4 months. And then when I need a quick balanced meal, they're ready to go. So that's a really nice option if you're, it's 1 or 2 people in your household, or if you want to do some cooking ahead of time to have meals ready for the week, that can be a really nice option. And you have all your food groups here, right? You've got all these great tasting veggies, you've got your protein, and then you have your starch in whatever type of rice you're using. You can use white rice, you can use brown rice, you could use quinoa, you could use rice noodles, really any type of grain that you enjoy. I tend to sometimes do brown rice, sometimes do white rice, really whatever sounds good at the time. And try different rices. I've had some brown rice that didn't really cut it all that much in terms of enjoyment. It felt a little dry. And so I tried a few different brands and found that for me, either a short grain brown rice or a medium grain tend to have more of a chewiness. So it might be worth trying a few different types to see what works best for you. And you can buy your rice dried and cook it. I have a rice cooker going over here, which I love because you just put the rice in, you put 2 times the amount of water, and you press the button and it pops up when it's done. And I found that's really helped me to cook rice well without it sticking to the bottom of my pan. But you can also buy rice pre-cooked in the frozen section. You can buy it pre-cooked even in just the rice aisle of the grocery store. They have those little pouches that you just heat up in the microwave. So there's several different options if you want to have rice at the ready. Some people also cook a bunch and then freeze it, and so they have it when they need it. So my veggies are tenderizing here, kind of keeping them moving around. Once they have about, a few minutes left, I'm going to add the ginger and the garlic. I don't want to add them too soon because I don't want them to burn on the bottom of the pan. They can be kind of delicate down there, but I do want the heat to really bring out those flavors as well. All right, my veggies have been cooking for almost 10 minutes now. They're really softening down. So I'm going to get in my garlic and ginger. And again, if you don't have fresh, you can easily use a dried option. Garlic powder and ground ginger are really nice spices to have on hand. They're kind of commonly used in cooking. So just get those mixed in. And again, give your veggies a taste at this point to see how the tenderness is for you. Some people like them much more tender, they're easier to chew, and some people prefer more of a crisp veggie. Mine are all fairly tender. My cauliflower is still a little on the crisp side, but not in a bad way. All right, I'm going to get my tofu back in. It would be nice visually to have a little more color in my stir fry. My only real colorful veggie is my bell pepper. So something red, like a red bell pepper would be really nice. Maybe some bright green broccoli, some orange, colorful carrots. The visual piece of what our food looks like is really where we start our eating experience. So adding something bright in there might be nice as well. But if you're just cleaning out the fridge like me and this is what you have on hand, that's okay too. Okay, it's ready for our sauce. If you've made your sauce ahead and have it in a jar, give it another shake or give it a whisk so that your cornstarch mixes right back in. And this will start to thicken up fairly quickly, so just get it moving. You can see why I recommended a large pan. Even in the size I have, things are kind of flying. So stir carefully. Oh yeah, that sauce thickens up nicely. So really here the cooking process is done. We just want to make sure the sauce is nicely thickened and coating everything and nice and hot. So just give it another 2 minutes or so. And then at that point, I would turn your heat off and give it a taste and see kind of where your flavoring is at. See if you want it a little more zesty. Do you want some lime juice on top? Do you need a little more sweetness? Is it a little bit too tart? Does it just need maybe a little salt and pepper? Do you want a little heat with a little sriracha or crushed red pepper? You've got some options, or it might be great as it is. Okay. So let me get some of my rice in here. Looks delicious. Uh-oh. Pan's flying away. For any of you that have induction cooktops on your regular stove, you might know this and that with that smooth surface, sometimes the pans move around. So be cautious because that can be dangerous when we have a slippery pan surface for spinning, but also just sliding. All right, let's give this a taste. So starting again, what you saw me just do is give it a nice smell. I'm smelling that soy sauce and kind of the zestiness from the vinegar in there. I'm just going to kind of take a little so I can really taste the sauce here. Oh, it's great. It's a lovely balance of all different flavoring agents. Nothing is kind of popping too much as too strong. I like a little spice, so I'll probably drizzle a little bit of sriracha on here. But otherwise, I think it's delicious. And I really like how kind of tender crisp the veggies are. So that 10-minute time frame worked really well. All right, well, I hope you give this a try. Stir fry, again, is a great option because of how versatile it is. And it's a really nice, nutritious option as well, an enjoyable meal. Well, thanks for being here.